The other question was, how do you handle criticisms, attacks, and public scrutiny without becoming bitter? Yeah, this is a tough one because I went through this. And sometimes I still go through it even now. Public scrutiny, criticism, and all of that. If I was to take everything that was thrown at me, I shouldn't even be here. If a person could die because of that, I should have been dead long time ago. But you need to separate constructive criticisms from the noise, because there's going to be noise and then there's going to be constructive criticism. People are going to criticize you because of a policy direction you have taken, something that you have said, how you conducted yourself, because they are considering you as a leader or as an opinion leader or whatever the case may be. And then there's an expected decorum with which you have to operate when you are there. And if you fall short of those kind of expectations, you're going to disappoint people. Once that happens, there's going to be criticism that is going to be thrown at you, some of which is going to be sincere, some of it won't be. Some people will just ride on the criticism because, everybody else is talking about it. I'll just throw at it. So you need to have the judgment to, and then the emotional maturity to separate those two, knowing that eventually maybe they're not attacking me, the person, but they're attacking what I've done. They're attacking my work, or they're attacking my conduct, not me, the person. That is actually a skill. It is actually not easy for you to achieve that. But that's what you have to do, because then you cannot function, because criticism is something that you would, and then in this age of internet, social media and all of that, you cannot insulate yourself from criticism. It's going to come. Even if you dress in Gucci outfit worth $10,000, someone will still find something to criticize. The color is not good enough. It doesn't look good on you. The shoes that are going with the outfit is not good. And by the way, where are you getting the money? We need to see your tax returns and all of that. Someone is still going to find something to say about that. And even if you take 5 months without posting something on the social media, someone is still going to question why you're silent. You know, so criticism are going to come, but you need to separate those things from yourself. Number two, you need to stay focused, because if you have embarked on something as a leader and then you take everything that everyone is throwing at you to heart, it will take you away from your purpose. And that is a very dangerous path to take. Because remember, leadership is not about being popular. Leadership is not about being agreeable or being liked by everyone. Because if your objective or your goal is that people should like you, then you're not your own self. You cannot make any decisions. At every time that you get to make a decision, you're always going to be referring it to somebody else, because you can't stand on your own. You're being too careful. You don't qualify to be a leader in that way. A leader must have the courage to say, and the boldness, I will do this in spite of how people feel about it. Because leadership is not about you. You are serving other people. And if you feel within yourself that that decision that you have taken is good, then do it. There will be times you feel that you've made a good decision, but it turns out not to be good. Your heart was still in the right place. And that's okay too, because you're not a superhuman. You will make mistakes. You're subject to error. You err sometimes, you know. So you have to, the goal never changes. You're still going ahead. They criticize you, you're still going ahead. And by the way, have the humility to sometimes absorb what is coming, because at times in that criticism, there's constructive things that you can use to change or to perfect whatever it is, or to improve on whatever it is that you're doing. Some people are well meaning. I'll give you an example. I presented my proposal for my PhD thesis in front of my whole class. We were over 40. So the PhD students were about 9 or so, but the rest were master's students. So because our basic courses were the same, so we were doing the modules together. So time came for us to present our proposals. So they said, "Oh, the ones that are ready, you can come." So this was like a mock presentation. So I stood up. I was the second one to do that. I am telling you, one professor tore me apart. I was totally torn apart. I cannot explain to you what I went through that day. And I was minister at the time. A bodyguard is waiting outside. That didn't matter. I was torn apart. Literally, your paper is useless. So I had a choice. What do I do? Do I quit? Or do I use this to improve on what I'm doing? So I remember talking to my mother about it, and she said, "She knows something that you don't. Give it a day or two, call her." And I did. She ended up being my best friend later. But my point there being, if I had chosen to use whatever she said, to consider whatever she said as criticism that I can ignore, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be called a doctor. It's because of what she did, why I still had the tenacity to go ahead and do what I did and achieve what I was able to achieve. So in that example alone, there's humility, there's admission of I don't know, and the recognition of you know, and I'm willing to subject myself under your tutorage so that I can learn also, so that I can prove on this thing that I'm trying to do. Because she had been through what I had not been through, and she had the responsibility to guide me through. So you must never allow emotions to be the platform on which you create or make decisions. You must never allow bitterness to occupy where wisdom should. Always use wisdom. Always use your intellect. Always be objective. Within that negative thing may be something that you need. Because not everyone that is criticizing you is means bad or is not wishing you well. Other people may be criticizing you because from a place of love, from a place of care. And if you are in public service, they will criticize you because you are there because of them. You are using their money to do whatever it is that you're doing. So there's a standard of operation that they expect from you. You must understand. You cannot be arrogant there. You must understand. So the higher you go, you are going to face these criticisms, but stay focused, but also have the humility to sometimes sieve through these things and then understand that other people may actually be well meaning when they're providing that kind of criticism to you. The next question is about what is the difference between influence and power? Very interesting question. Power can be given, you know, it can be given, but influence must be earned. It's like respect. You cannot be given influence. You must earn it, you know, just like respect is earned, but power can be given to you. Power also can change people or situations temporarily, but influence goes deeper in people's hearts. It goes in people's minds. This is why we quote other leaders that have gone before us, that those that are long gone, we still quote them because they influenced our lives in a particular way. Influence is for the long haul. Power can be temporary. And that is why you must never, at any given point, allow power to define who you are. Because if it's given, it can always be taken away from you. It can always be taken away from you. So when you move out the power from a person, what remains is who they really are. So if you can still influence without the power, you were always an influential person. But if you cannot influence with the power without it, you are not an influential person. You're not a leader. So power must be looked at as a tool that you can use, because you can use your power as you're influencing. You can use your power to move some things that would otherwise not be moved so that you can impact other people. That is a very good use of power. But you can also abuse power to your own advantage or to the advantage of your friends or those that are close to you. You know, influence remains after formal authority has gone. That's why you'd have people that would have worked for an institution. Maybe they were an ambassador, they were whatever it is that they were, but people still respect them. Why? They were an influential human being. They impacted people's lives in a positive way. And the best way to impact people's lives is when you live right. When you preach to people using your own life. People watch you, people that will never have the opportunity to shake your hand, but are still being influenced by who you are, what you do, how you do it. You are an influential person, not a powerful person. So it's better to be an influential person than to be a powerful person or a person with power, because power is temporary. As it is given, so can it be taken away from you. Number 9 question: can a person be a successful executive, minister, pastor, or CEO and still be a poor leader at home? Oh my God. Very, very interesting question. The truth is, public success does not necessarily translate to success at home. I wrote a book, it's called Professional Woman, and the tagline there is achieving balance between the boardroom and the home. Because a lot of people, especially women, were asking me, how do you achieve this? You know, you are an executive, you are a mother, you are a wife, you do all these things. How are you able to manage all of these things? How do you navigate? So I use my own experiences to articulate how I achieve the balance. Because you have to achieve a balance. Sometimes you go to people's homes and you are shocked. Is this the same person that was in the boardroom? You know, there's chaos at home. There cannot be chaos at home and you expect order in the office. It doesn't go that way. Whatever is at home is going to manifest at the workplace, because you are a leader there. You start from the home, you know. So whatever you're doing in the public does not automatically translate that you also have a successful private life. Leadership starts with relationships that are closest to you. If you're not leading the people that are closest to you, so if you are a parent, then it means your children. If you are a wife, then it means your husband. If you are a husband, it means your wife. Even in pastors, they say the first congregation that you have is at home. You are your wife's pastor as much as you are also a husband. You are your children's pastor. So if they cannot attest to the fact that this is a man of God, trust me, it will not matter what we think here in the public. It won't matter. You must be above reproach there at home. That's when you have the legitimacy to stand before everybody else in the public. So the greatest test of leadership is often what happens behind closed doors when people are not seeing you. That's what matters. So that is a test of leadership. When you are alone, no one is seeing you, no one is applauding you, you're not seeking anyone's approval. That is when leadership matters the most. So if the people that are around you, the people that are closest to you, the ones that know how you struggle to find that outfit in that day, if those ones cannot say what kind of a leader you are, it will be difficult for you to be identified as a particular leader. The next question is, how do we trust a leader whose CV speaks very loudly, yet their leadership whispers? Again, leadership is not about what's written on your CV. You can be the most qualified person in the room and yet be the worst leader among them all, because your skills have nothing to do with your leadership style or your leadership abilities. What your CV tells us is where you have been, but your leadership tells us how you behave when you get there, or how you were, or who you really were when you were there. Credentials may get you the job, but your character, your consistency, everything else that we have been talking about, your influence is what sustains you. You can have the best CV, but still fail to command people, still fail to influence people, still fail to make people follow you or follow your lead. It means you're still going to fail dismally. as a leader in spite of your resume. So you can also have a resume that does not speak very well, but still be able to do the job very well. You see, this is what happens. And I've done it several times before. You'd be in a panel and you are maybe 3 or 4 people. You are interviewing someone and you make a decision to say, even though this person is able to talk a good game, but I don't think they can do a good job. It's their character that will speak loudly than their CV or their qualifications. Because sometimes it's not about your qualifications. It's everything put together. Things must balance. So sometimes you may win, not because your qualifications were good, but because you had a very good character, you had a very good personality, and the panel would be inclined to like you. They just like you. The moment you walk in, you didn't have to say much. The first 5-10 minutes, they've already decided on you, even though your qualifications are much, much less than the one that scored very highly on qualifications. So people, if you cannot manage people, if you're not able to get your team to the promised land as far as your objectives of that institution are concerned, then you may not make a good leader. So, yes, other people may have a very powerful, very loud resume or CV, but still fail dismally as leaders. The true test of a leader or of your leadership comes when you have to make a decision. Very, very tough decisions. That's when a leader is manifested. So it has nothing to do with your CV. However, what must you do? Maybe I'm adding this question. If you have a boss that may not be as qualified as you, but they're still your boss anyway. I think I have addressed this in other episodes. You do your job, follow their lead, follow instructions. There shall be one leader at a time. Anything that has two heads is a beast. Is a beast. So you don't want to be the one that will bring in a beast in that institution. Follow their instructions. Follow whatever that leader is telling you. No matter what or how you feel you are qualified than them, this is not about emotions. Do your job. Do not downgrade your boss. Do not look down on them. Follow their lead, respect their authority, and do your job. Because whatever it is that you do under that person, is going to come back at you when you become a leader yourself or when you occupy that place, even something higher. So you need to check yourself each time you are compelled to look down on your leader. The next question is, what are the early warning signs that someone is leading beyond their capacity? When the shoe is too big for you, what are the early warning signs? Normally, you start the blame game. They were supposed to have done this on the 10th. This is the 15th. They are blaming everybody else but themselves. They start making emotional decisions, firing everybody, shouting, using emotions. You know that this person is not mature. They're not qualified to be here. They are all over the place. And then inability to make decisions, inability to take feedback, even when the feedback is actually constructive. They don't listen at all. Their ears now are clogged. They can't listen to anything. Those are some of the telltale signs that this person may be operating beyond their own capacity. And then they become so overwhelmed by responsibility. They do this here, they do this, and then nothing gets finished at all. Those are the signs that someone is really operating beyond their own capacity. The other question is, how do you recover after a major leadership setback, public failure, or rejection? These things happen all the time. It doesn't mean that because you are a leader, then you have to win all the time. You're going to make a progress or you are going to be successful all the time. There will be setbacks. If you're a bank, sometimes you can make losses. If you're a company, sometimes you're going to make losses. If you're a producing company, you are going to make things that would be below standards and all that. If you are operating a bus, for example, you are going to go to that on that trip with just maybe half or even 20% of passengers on that bus. These things happen in the line of business. The first thing that you need to do is to accept and embrace it. We have hit a snag. We are making losses. We have made a loss. This is a setback. However, remember what I said at the beginning of these questions. The goal doesn't change. The fact that you have hit a setback or you have a setback in your implementation or your operations does not mean that you have to stop or you have to quit. A setback is a setback. Pick up the lessons from there and then move on. If there's something that you have to learn from there, please learn it. Maybe if you are a boss, you operate twice a week or twice a day. You're leaving at 11 o'clock. Can you try to leave earlier? Can you try to leave maybe later? Those are the things that you have to see. Maybe it may be time for you to look at or relook at your tactics, or maybe in the strategy itself. That's why a strategy in an institution must be a live document. Things can and will change as you implement, and things that you cannot control within the economy, within your environment, that would necessitate for you to make those kind of changes and decisions. So if you have a rigid strategy or tactics, then you may not achieve all the objectives that you need to achieve. So a setback is just that, a setback. Learn from it and move on. And then separate your identity from the position that you hold. So you are you, and then you are the director. You know, if you don't separate these two, normally what happens in your personal life would be brought into the job. What happens in the job will be also brought into the work. And what happens now is that people at home will now bear the blunt of you what happens at work, or vice versa. And that is a sign also of an immature leader. You need to separate these two. So you are home, you are a managing director at work. At home, you're just dad or the husband. But if you bring your managerial position at home, things don't really work out. People fear you. People don't want to tell you the truth. People tiptoe themselves around you because you are scary. They don't want to tell you the truth. They don't want to face you. So by the time you're getting to know tiny nitty-gritties of what is happening within your home, it is rather too late. Maybe things have gone wrong already. So you need to ensure that you are separating your identity, who you really are, from your position or the job that you do. That's how you also recover from your leadership setback. And then use the experience as preparation for the next chapter. So no one wants to be rejected. No one wants to have a setback. No one wants to fail. And yet these are realities of life. We fail because we are humans, not because we wanted to. It's a fact of life that as we do life, we are going to fail. As we do life, we are going to face setbacks. As we do life, we are going to be criticized. We are going to feel rejected. We are going to feel isolated. You need to ensure that, number one, you can prepare for it. I think in the second episode, I spoke about being externally motivated, waiting for something to happen for you to make a move. It means you are handing over your power to other people. And that's too much power to hand over to somebody. Why must somebody be responsible for your happiness? Why must somebody be responsible for you to make a move? You make a move because it's time for you to make a move. You make a move because you planned for it. You wanted to make a move on Tuesday, and it is Tuesday, you're going to make a move because according to your tactical plan, that's what you do today. So when you face those setbacks, it is sometimes tough. I always tell people to say, no, take your time, review, reflect. Reflection is a very powerful tool. You reflect, and then once you take your time to really deeply reflect, you will sometimes discover that it was never about you, which is why also it is very important for you to separate yourself from the job, your identity, who you really are, from what you do. Because those are two different entities. They're two totally different. While you bring your personality and your character into the job, you are not your job. You are you. And you are more powerful than your job or than what you do. So you need to realize that. So you can always, always come back from a setback. So whether it is in politics, whether it is in the private sector, in the civil society, whatever it is that you do, you can always come back from a setback. What you need to do is take your time, be with yourself, review, what could I have done right? What could I have done wrong? The most immature thing for you to do is to now to blame, I failed because of so and so. So you blame everybody else but yourself. Yeah, sometimes we do that because we are humans. We like to feel better about ourselves, and then we, transfer that blame to another person. It's very easy for us to do so, but sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's also a mark of cowardice. That you don't want to take responsibility for your part, because you must have played a part for your downfall or for your rejection or for whatever it is, whatever situation you found yourself in. Maybe you made a wrong judgment, you made a wrong call. And this is why. So even though this decision has happened because somebody else did something, but you may have contributed in one way or the other. Because remember, so you can only control other people's actions so much. Ultimately, they reserve the right to behave in some way. So we keep it at that. So you are here now. The thing has gone wrong. We have a setback. We have lost money. We have been declared bankrupt. Whatever it is that has happened to you, take your time, reflect, and then get back on the saddle and move on. Because you cannot stop doing life because you faced a setback. Check the people that have succeeded in life, the big guys all over the world. Ask them how many setbacks they encountered. You will be shocked. So you have just said you just faced your first setback in your business, and already you want to quit. No, that's not what champions do. So yes, setbacks, they solidify who we are. In Chichewa, there's a proverb. It says, a river is made strong by the rocks that are in there. So the setbacks, they enhance, solidify who we really are as a people. The other question was, why do some highly educated and technically competent people still struggle in leadership roles? And I think we have I've responded to this, where I'm saying technical expertise is not the same as people management or as leadership. Your skills don't say anything about your leadership. Leadership requires a lot more than just your skills or your education or your technical competence. You need emotional intelligence. You need to be able to communicate to people. You need to be able to manage human beings. The ability to inspire people is something that they don't teach you in school. They will not teach you how to inspire people. But okay, this is an inspiration class. This is how you can inspire people. No, you either inspire people or you don't. So as a professional, you need to have a bit of both. You need to have the technical competence, but at the same time, you need to have the ability to exercise your responsibilities emotionally, intelligently, with emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is a powerful tool. It's something that usually people don't maybe really like to talk about, but it's a powerful tool. Can you imagine a manager that would just be quitting? You people are not making sense, then they'll walk out of a meeting. Every time something that goes against their thoughts, they walk out of a meeting. They're not a good leader. So as they may be competent technically, they may have gotten their qualifications out of this world at Mars or Vk. But if they cannot manage their emotions, if they cannot manage people, if they cannot take the truth when it is spoken to them, they may not be qualified to be a leader. The other question was, what does character play in leadership, and can competence compensate for poor character? The answer is no. Competence can never compensate for poor character. Character is like a scar, it cascades into every aspect of your life. It never really leaves you. And your character is what reveals who you really are, without you speaking. It will speak loudly than your competences. So again, your competence may be what gets you the job, but your character is what will sustain you in that job. Character determines how you're going to use power. Character determines how you're going to exercise your responsibilities. Character determines whether you're going to be responsible with resources, whether you're going to be a good steward, whether you're going to treat people with respect, whether you're going to leave a legacy. It is all about your character. When people are describing someone, especially at the funeral, they will be describing their character mostly, not how they were able to fix a fridge in record time. No, they will be describing how he or she made them feel, the impact that they may have, they had, the impact that they made in the other people. And that's the lasting legacy that somebody leaves, and not their technical competence. Technical competence we can replace anytime. You die today, by tomorrow we are interviewing 27 people to take up your job that would do 50 times much better than how you were doing it, maybe at 50% cheaper. Also, in these days, we can do so, but we cannot replace your character. Once your character is gone, it is gone, whether it is a good character or a bad character. So you need to work very much on your character. This is something that they don't teach you in school. They won't teach you how to have a good character. These are values that you inculcate, you take from home. They have something to do with your culture, your upbringing, your environment, your beliefs, your belief system. the support structure that you had, whether you had it or you didn't have it. All of that combined, they make who you really are. They produce a character within you, something that is associated with you. So it cannot replace your competences, cannot replace your character. The other question, last but one, is how do you know whether people around you genuinely support you or simply are attached to your position? This is a powerful question. I had people like those, people that became friends because of the position that I had, and now I can no longer see them. Or even sometimes when I send them a message, I don't want anything from them. Maybe I just wanted to ask something. You can even tell the way they are responding to you, and well, you're no longer useful to them. You know that. But if you have a weak mind, that would affect you. It would affect you. You'd think, oh my God, I lost. But you should know this. Genuine friends like you for who you are. For you, it doesn't matter what you have. You can be in prison, you can be in the hospital, you can be back in the village. They're still going to remain your friends. And I have friends like those who stand up for me when I'm not even there. They don't even bother to tell me what the discussion was all about. They'll stand up and they'll be 1 against 60. They'll be speaking for me in those kind of spaces. Those are people that have a 25-year history with. And why would I mind about someone that I've just known 6 months ago or a year ago? Also because they wanted something from me because of the position that I held. So it also goes to how are you choosing your friends, or what matters to you. So if what matters to you is material things, connections, and all of that, it will show. It will manifest itself in how you're going to choose your friends as well. If you choose your friends because you want to look like a big girl or a big boy in society, it will also manifest itself when you're choosing your friends, and then that will come biting you when you no longer have the power. Remember always that power can be given. Power is given to you. And if it can be, whatever is given to you can always be taken away from you. And when that power, when that thing that has been given unto you has been taken away from you, that's when reality comes in. That's when your true sense now becomes, is manifested. It shows, this person is this one. Without that power, that thing that remains is who you really are. So um, it shouldn't matter. If people genuinely support you. I have friends who tell me to say, I didn't support your party, but I supported you because you are my friend. And they would buy me stuff for my campaign. They did this, they did that, even though they didn't support my party. I think for me, that's to be, I cherish that very deeply. And then there are some people who I considered friends. When I see what they write about me, it's with so much hate and disgust. They were not really my friends, because it doesn't mean that you don't agree all the time with friends. The people that are genuinely my friends, we argue a lot also, but at the end of the day, we still remain friends. But if someone would degrade you and then you see about what they're saying and how they're saying it, you would not think that they're talking about a human being that has a soul. You think they're talking about an animal. They were never really friends. And so when they go, you should be glad they're gone, because no human being requires that kind of negativity. You need people that would, when you make a mistake, they will speak to you and you understand to say, I know that this criticism is coming from a place of care, not from a place of hate. Hate is a powerful emotion, but it is destructive. Love, on the other hand, is also a powerful emotion, but it builds. So you need to choose which side you want to fall on, So you need to observe the people that remain and that influence how you live your life, and you cherish those friends. Your true friends will tell you the truth, even when it is painful and difficult for you to hear it. They will tell you the truth nevertheless. They will not spare to tell you what you think is right. They will tell you as it is, And then you will see that you would have gone through stuff together, seasons together. When you look back at the past 15 years, you'll be like, how did I even navigate that on my own? I shouldn't have been here if it weren't for so and so and so. Those are the friends. So If someone walks away, you know, they were attached to what you had or what you were able to give, let them go gladly. Don't hold any grudges against them. When you meet, talk to them, but they were never really your friends. The last question, and I am so grateful that you're bringing these questions up. We are going to have a live session at which we are going to be discussing these face to face. But the last question for today is, if you could teach one leadership lesson to every young African today, what would it be and why? And I think I've answered this question. If I was to answer that question in one sentence, I would say, prepare before the opportunity comes, because it will come. And if it finds you unprepared, you won't have it. So prepare accordingly before the opportunity comes. This has been the Leadership Lab by Dr. VK. Remember, we're doing it one conversation at a time, raising young, authentic, resilient, true African leaders. Thank you very much for listening.